Hello, everyone. It's Lori Lewis, the director, with another episode of the Before the Big Day podcast. And in the guest chair for today's episode is someone that I've been admiring. She is all over Instagram. Her work has been featured in almost every single bridal publication. If it hasn't been in every single one, it's well on its way. And I'm just so honored that you are in the guest chair today, Miss Terri Baskin of Terri Baskin Photography. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it is truly my pleasure. Again, I've been a fan of your work. And again, in last week's episode, I talked to Melissa of Be Astonished, and we were talking about micro weddings and the partnership and the collaboration you guys did. So, just awesome, awesome work. So, let's just start with just introducing us to your business, how you got started. Obviously, the name is named after yourself,
Mhm.
but just give us a little background as to who you are outside of maybe being a famous wedding photographer.
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, well, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. That always feels so weird hearing, someone share about me. I think you probably did it better than I would do myself. But my name is Terri Baskin. I am a DC, Virginia-based wedding photographer. However, I travel wherever, internationally, domestically, and I photograph weddings for couples who have sophisticated style, but they are joyful in their romance, meaning they have their own personal touches. They're not cookie cutter. They're not copying all of the trends. They bring themselves to their day
Mhm.
fully, yet they are still real people. They're not stuffy. They are in love and they are proud to show it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I got started in weddings. So my dad was a wedding photographer when I was growing up. So I remember the days of him leaving in the morning to photograph a wedding. He was home before it got dark outside. He would always bring me a piece of cake, and this was back in the days where film was pretty much the only medium. And so, yeah, I watched him and unknowingly just kind of picked it up from him. That wasn't the plan, but it happened that way, and I'm excited that that's a part of my story.
Absolutely. So it was in your genes then, basically.
Yeah, I didn't know. It just, yeah, it just happened
Wow.
that way. He's proud, he's happy, but it wasn't really like a planned out thing. So
So you never like shadowed him when he did weddings? Like you never were like the second shooter? You just let
no,
your
so I
story.
was so much younger. So
Okay.
he did it when I was a lot younger. But ironically, when I got into wedding photographers, he started when I first started. He was my second photographer. So he
Oh,
kind of
I love
like,
it.
yeah, it's like it's a beautiful story, and I love it. And I love that that's kind of my background because I love my parents, and so just to be able to take after him seeing me in my element, him helping me and then helping me like see creatively and just know like the flow of a wedding day and the anticipating the moments is how I got started. So he was my second photographer. I never got a chance to shoot with him.
That is awesome. Wow, what a beautiful story. But that all ties into the story you create with your couples. And so
Absolutely.
how does that take us through the process, and then we'll kind of talk about how others who may not be able to hire you, whether being in the area, even though you do travel, so we'll let everyone know you will travel. But how does that process evolve with a couple that contacts you and they want you to be their wedding photographer? I know there has to be a fit, of course, but
Absolutely.
how does that process work?
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that. It does have to be a fit, and I think the fit, or I strongly believe that the fit has to go both ways. Your wedding photographer, for any couple that's looking, is one of the vendors that's around you the entire day. So you have to like that person. You can't be annoyed by even the sound of their voice because they're around you all day long. So it definitely starts with the fit. But when a couple first contacts me, some of the things I want to know early on is just information about their day, like their venue, if they're working with a wedding planner, obviously the date, just to make sure that I'm available. And from there, we go into a consultation. And so that's a chance for us to get to know each other in this virtual world. We meet on Zoom. I think phone is great. However, I love to just kind of interact with someone via video. And so we have a Zoom consultation where I'm able to ask them questions, get to know them. They're able to ask me any questions that they have about planning their wedding day or their vendors that they're working with, or just the flow of the day. So it's beautiful because I get a chance to see the connection before we ever decide to work with one another.
So when and watching the pictures, like I said, I'm on Instagram just following and watching and stories. And this recent wedding you did, I don't know what the venue, because I'm not familiar with all the venues in your area, but you did this wedding recently, and it was just the angles that you were shooting the couple. I think they were on a balcony and it was outside, and it was just obviously that comes with your trade, I'm sure, photography, but is that something you just feel from the couple that you just or is it something you kind of pre-plan out based on your interactions with them?
Oh gosh, so both actually. So I love feeding off of my couple's energy. If
Okay.
they don't have it, I bring it.
Okay.
They can feed off of my energy, but I love just kind of feeding off of who they are and how they interact as a couple, because every couple, whether they realizes it or not, they have their things
Hmm.
that they do, and those are the things that I'm trying to capture on camera, because I want people, like their friends and their family, to look at their photos and feel like they know the people that they see on the photos. So yeah, so it's their energy, but then also wherever I'm shooting, I want to go in and put my couple in these spaces. So I love like DC architecture.
Hmm.
I love this. DC has some beautiful, like old and new architecture. So I'm always trying to place my couple in some beautiful surrounding, but still make the photo about them in this beautiful space. So yeah, so I'm not 100% sure which photo it was, but that's usually my thought process.
Yeah, I'm just amazed, like, wow, I'm like, being in DC alone, like you said, you have the new and the older architecture. So you have a plethora of places probably that you can put your couples, but still,
Yeah.
you still put your I'm just gonna put your little stink on it because of the angles that you get that are just amazing. And you're right, photography has evolved. It has become the storytelling, right? Being able to storytell. So for a couple who's just starting out in their wedding planning, and as a planner, my couples, their top thing is the right photographer, right videographer.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
what advice would you give a couple that's just starting out? Do they start, sometimes with the decor, they start a Pinterest board? Do they, I know I have like a checklist I give my couples, like these are the
Mhm.
pictures, the must have pictures. What
Yeah.
are some recommendations as they plan for their photographer and then go out and find the photographer that fits their needs or their plans?
Yeah. So I think three things. So first, so as I've gotten into more of the, like, quote unquote, like higher end weddings, sometimes the wedding planner handles the majority of the communication. There's some cases where I don't talk to the client as much, but for me, it's important for me to try and talk to them. I want them to be able to interview me, to ask whatever questions that they have, for me to be able to interview them. If it's a planner that's handling most of the client communication, then obviously, like, the planner knows enough about the couple and they know enough about me to make sure we're a good match. So I usually trust that. But when possible, I absolutely love to talk to them, just to get to know them. Also, I think, let's see, asking to see a photographer's a full wedding from a photographer. So I think the good and the bad about Instagram or like social media is that it's just a highlight reel, right?
Mhm.
I'm putting up my favorite images, my best images, but how do I really capture a full wedding day from start to finish? I love when clients or potential clients ask me to see a full wedding, because it gives me a chance to show them even more of my work, right? Because I want them to be sold on the idea that I'm there all day, I'm capturing every part of their day. And I just want them to feel like I see them, right? That I have their interest. They're just not another client for me, that I want to try and capture whatever special moments for them. So yeah, so definitely interviewing them, ask to see a full wedding day. And then if possible, I always recommend that a couple does an engagement session with the photographer, so much so that I include it in my collections, because that's the no stress before the wedding time to actually spend time in person. And so it gives me a chance to see how the couple's chemistry is on camera, how they take direction, whether it's, I can just give them some simple prompts and they fall right into whatever it is I want them to do. Or if I need to kind of guide them a little bit more on the wedding day, like everything is so fast paced, is rushed. There's no do-overs. And so that's not the time that I want to try and get to know my couple. I want us to already have somewhat of like a professional friendship before the wedding day comes. So I hope that answers your question. I know I was talking.
No. It absolutely did. I am just so you will show a potential client a full wedding album.
Absolutely.
Wow,
Absolutely.
that's the first time I've heard that, honestly.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all. You're right, because Instagram or social media is just highlights.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I love that.
Yeah, I think it, well, one, especially if it's a wedding that's happened at their venue, it gives them a chance for them to see how I see their venue. I mean, obviously their decor will probably be a little bit different, but yeah, they get a chance to see how I work inside their venue. But then for me, if it's a venue that I've already worked at, it challenges me to do something different too, so that I'm not doing the exact same thing wedding after wedding. So.
Absolutely. Now, do you in the Midwest, well, I shouldn't say Midwest, well, in Michigan, I have a lot of couples who, ceremony's one place, reception's another place. And so they make a stop in between. Do you recommend the places in between for geographical purposes? Or does a couple usually come to you and they already have a place picked out, if you will?
So a lot of times, I'm fortunate enough that a lot of my couples rely on my advice or where they're taking photos. So I don't have any that are so set on any one particular place that there's no flexibility. So that's been a blessing for me.
Yeah.
So what they'll usually do is they'll give me their ideas, and based on like the logistics of their day. So like if their ceremony is in one place and their reception is in a totally different place, well, is this place they want to stop? Like, is it on the way, or is it for DC? DC has heavy tourist traffic.
Yes.
And so if you're trying to go to a monument on a Saturday in the middle of the day, the logistics of that can be a little bit crazy.
Yes.
It's doable, but they have to make sure they build in the time with the planner so that they can do those things. So yeah, but luckily they do ask me, and then I can give them my professional advice based on my experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just being in the industry and coming out of engagement season, I don't know, engagement season seems like it's all year now. Is there, outside of just photography or wedding photography, is there any other advice you would give a couple who's just starting?
So just starting their wedding planning process?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Hire a planner. Hire a wedding planner. Here's the thing. I understand that couples have a budget and they're trying to stick to it. However, what happens is if you plan a wedding, no matter how organized you are, if you don't have somebody that you can hand off your plans and your things to, well, one, the couple ends up stressing about things they probably shouldn't be stressing about on their wedding day. But then two, when couples are investing in me and they don't have a planner, it means I'm now having to pick up that slack of if the makeup artist hasn't arrived yet, or if the transportation company, if we don't know where they are and they're supposed to be here, now I've turned into the planner, and then that's taken my focus off of photography. And it's an investment in your photography, and now I'm having to do other roles that don't involve photography. It's really not fair to the couple. So I absolutely recommend, even though I get nothing financially from having them hire a planner, at the end of the day just runs so much smoother when they hire the right person.
That is still such a hurdle for couples. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, almost
Mhm.
99% of my guests I interview say that, but it's still such a hurdle. Or,
Yeah.
I get an email back from a potential client. They're like, we've just decided we don't need one for the day.
Yeah, I still think that a lot of couples don't understand the value of a planner until after the wedding. And by then it's just way too late.
Yes.
So if I have to say it 101 times, hire a planner,
Yes.
hire
Yes.
a planner to help your wedding day run smooth. For photography, I mean, be yourself. I think when couples try and over practice, they're so set in certain like poses and things
Mm,
that they're trying to do and trying to perform for the camera that it's not genuine and it doesn't look real. Like it doesn't look real when you look at the photos. So trying to like over practice or over anticipate what's going to happen for your photos is probably something else I would probably not recommend doing that too much.
gotcha. And when you put on a dress and tuxedo, you feel differently anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
all that pre-posing is out the window anyway.
Absolutely.
So, wow, thank you so much for your time. I guess it's this evening when we're recording, and I'm just so impressed, and I'm just appreciate you taking the time out to appear on the podcast and
Absolutely.
speak and give great advice for those who are on this wedding planning journey. So, if you wouldn't mind, if you would just share how a couple can reach out to you. I know again you will travel outside of the DMV area, so
Absolutely, I will.
yes. So for those who want to reach out, if you would give all your contact info, and then I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Terri Baskin, and you can find me at terribaskin.com. And you can find me on Instagram at Terri Baskin, also on Facebook, Terri Baskin Photography.
Yes, Terry Baskin. Terry Baskin. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for those who are tuning in on the YouTube channel or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get notifications of new episodes. We thank you for listening. And until next time, be well.